Well, we do have somebody who's called in pretty regularly. I don't know if you've
If there's one thing that is not annoying at all, it's transcendental arguments.
Oh, good. All right. Then with
that's who you were going for, right?
Oh, I totally am. I totally am.
All right.
For people who regularly watch, they're going to know Zeno. Zeno's in South Korea and wants to talk about the transcendental argument for the existence of God. Zeno, how's it going?
Right.
I knew you were going to pick me, Eric. I knew it.
You did?
Whenever you said that.
Was it?
Wow.
Did you just intuit it? Was there a transcendental quality?
There was another word for it would be transrationality. So, in a way, sure. But
I'm sure we can cram some more syllables and make it more plausible.
All right.
Could it be hyper rationality?
Well, if you give me the definition, probably, because I don't know what that means.
Okay.
So I'm gonna Zeno. You know that you can call in and talk to me, but Russell's.
Yeah, I know.
So I want to give you guys the chance to talk about it. Zeno, awesome. do you want to provide your argument?
Thanks for the favor.
Yeah, I really want to talk to Russell. He's a software engineer, and that's very exciting because I'm a programmer.
Oh, what language do you work on?
I work.
Honestly, I'd rather geek out about that. What?
C++, Ruby. I also code on Unreal Engine, just using like nodes.
Oh yeah, I picked up Unity during the pandemic, and I was super into my Valve Index, so I figured out how to write some VR little games.
That's where you've been the last 4 years.
Yeah.
You've been
lost in cyberspace.
Okay, fair. Sorry, go on.
I've been learning how to make a program that creates objects within its space, so kind of like machine learning.
Okay.
And I don't want to make it look too obvious, so when the person plays the game, they think they're dealing with an area that I created and made the environments for, but AI was able to create the environments for them.
So you generated sort of like a game with a generated dungeon or something.
Yeah, it's basically a generative dungeon, and I tested my friends out to ask them to see, like, how do you like this design? And they said, we love it. But I said, I didn't make it. But I did make it, but I didn't make it because it's generative, so it's kind of like unique because there's so many different traits.
I mean, if you generate the rules, the rule set, one of the projects I did was like, I was a little rusty, but I looked up random maze algorithms. And then while I was learning Unity, I made a maze and then built it out of like cube objects that I put in the world. And then I dropped myself into it in VR. It was pretty cool.
Okay, so I want to get to it before we end up nerding out about that. Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome.
Transcendental.
So all right, so I'm going to circle this back to my argument. So in life, I'm kind of coming at this from a programmer perspective. So there are so many things that science can't answer so many different questions. Like, what happened? Where does consciousness even come from?
Okay.
What is the nature of dark matter?
I wouldn't say it can't answer that, but I would say it's a very complicated problem that it hasn't answered.
I disagree.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, no, go ahead. Yeah, I think that we have a very clear idea.
Sorry to misword that a little bit. I mean, science probably will answer it, but we definitely can't answer it right now.
Maybe. Yeah.
So, we don't have all the information. So coming from this as a programmer, I feel that if we don't have all the information about something, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be wrong about it. So I just want to ask a question.
That's a little
I know, Eric,
strong.
I know your position. As an atheist, are you... I'm sorry?
I mean, I wouldn't say that 9 times out of 10 you don't have information to say things. I mean, I feel like if I say the sun is going to, if I quote the Annie musical, the sun will come up tomorrow, I think I have pretty good reason to be confident about that prediction.
But that's not like saying where does consciousness come from, because you could observe the sun and
I would also say that in general, the harder a concept is, the less likely you're just to randomly stumble on the answer. And so I think you're right that it's going to be pretty tough to come up with a solution to a general solution to consciousness.
Yeah, and that's just a very small aspect of the universe. There are so many other questions like, what is the nature of dark matter? And do you think we have the answer to that question? Or do you think we will ever be able to answer where does the nature of dark matter come from?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read all that much about dark matter personally.
I got to say really quickly, just kind of interjecting, Zeno, every time I've had an argument where somebody says science doesn't know X, and then they harp on about science not knowing a thing, science not like a thing being unknown is not evidence of a claim. So if you're trying to like back your way into making a claim and trying to rest it in the nest of science not knowing things, or science not knowing is not even using the right words there, because science is a methodology. Science doesn't know shit. Science is a way that we use to learn about things. And so has science been used to learn about things? Well, we haven't really gotten to the full conclusion. I just don't think that that's evidence for any claims. The evidence for a claim is what we are able to investigate and what we're able to evaluate, that evidence for. So I'm curious why you're talking about, us not knowing things in your argument, because that's a red flag for me.
I disagree, of course, with what you're saying.
How so?
The negation, that's why we're here. So the negation of evidence, right? There's no evidence for X, means we need to explore this area, which we're doing with science. When I say there's a house somewhere in California that you haven't explored, we can't then make conclusions about that because you've never been inside the house.
Hang on, let me check Zillow.
Yeah. Well, I actually,
I will say it's gotten easier to explore things that are within reach, thanks to the internet, which is both a blessing and a curse.
That might not have been analogous to what I was saying.
But
the point is that science hasn't gotten there yet. The reason I say that is because we need to lay out how much gray area there is, or black area, whatever color you like to choose, and we need to understand there's so many possibilities in this area that we don't understand. So everything you're saying about what you don't understand could be complete nonsense.
Okay.
Simply because you don't understand it.
Well, actually,
so you're talking about question marks.
Actually, let's investigate this. If I were to say that, Zeno, have you explored every square inch of this Earth?
No.
Are you confident, right? If you don't know, and I told you that, Zeno, there is a house-sized black hole in a remote jungle location on Earth.
Hell, in California suburbs.
Sure, somewhere. Why not? Yeah. You haven't explored it, but if I said that there was a house-sized black hole, is that likely?
No, but that example doesn't work because we know black holes don't occur on Earth.
Oh,
we just know that.
Hold on.
So everywhere on Earth.
You're absolutely right. So we can, through inference, understand some key elements of things, even if we haven't explored them. If we're talking about Earth, we can make, conclusions about simple physics, right? I can make conclusions about simple physics.
To the universe, because that's very tiny compared to the universe. So I don't think the example works because you're using Earth, which is a pale blue dot, versus the universe being like maybe another pale something dot.
But the Earth is a subset of the universe that we're extremely familiar with. So I mean, it's not true to say that it's not analogous to the universe. I just would say it doesn't encompass everything.
Yeah, if we're going to go with that, then what I would say is that the conditions of things that we understand about the universe around us can give us information that we can use to infer information to infer things about, places that we have not yet explored, because there are some things that just are that way.
I agree.
Like
I do agree with that.
Like, do you think that there's somewhere vast, far away, somewhere in the universe that light moves at the speed of molasses? I'm not talking. I'm not talking about through a wire. I'm talking Russell. I know that's where your brain went.
Actually, that wasn't what I was thinking. I was trying to come up with a quip about being stuck in traffic or something.
Yeah, is there? Do you think that there could be a place in the universe where light doesn't travel at the speed of light?
Yeah, as a programmer, dude, that question.
As a programmer, Russell,
so profound.
As a programmer, is that profound to you?
I know that I'm absolutely not a person who's qualified to talk about the speed of light.
Yeah, but as a programmer, don't you find it profound?
As a lay person,
I'm sure there's a place where light is probably frozen somewhere.
You're sure? See, now that's the point. That's the point where you and I part company, because you said earlier on you said that. If you believe something 9 times out of 10, you're going to be wrong.
And
so I'm wrong.
But I mean, like, to try to take these things that we don't know and then say, you just did the opposite of what it seemed like you were going to say, which is basically, but I know that there are exceptions to the speed of light, which doesn't seem to jive
and just throwing theories out, but
those aren't theories.
I could definitely be wrong, but
right, not theories.
I know you guys got to go to other callers. Let me just say that I guess my problem is I'm trying to figure out how we are able to draw a conclusion without all of the information. I know that you spoke on that earlier. You said that if we don't have all the evidence or information to something, to draw a conclusion would be sort of ridiculous. It's true, but I don't know your position. So before I hang up, is it that you don't know? Like, if someone asks you if a God exists, is your answer, I don't know, and we'll just wait and find out to see how many answers we get?
Yeah, although I think more than most people here, my answer these days is more, I don't care.
Okay.
But I know that's not as, but I'm on an atheist show, so for the moment, I'll care.
This is what I wanted to say. This is what I wanted to say. If your answer is, I don't know, as a software engineer, I brought you into a job, and I said, we have a problem. We need to create some type of parallax effect, right? Where your character is able to create a doppelganger of itself. Okay, can you do that? If everyone's response is, I don't know, then we're not getting the job done. So it's important to know how to do certain things. If you say, I don't know, then most likely we're not going to hire you for the job, right? So we need people that know how to do these things. We need experts, right?
In that case, then don't hire me. But I will also say that—
So you're not qualified.
I may not be qualified, but also a lot of the time in meetings with people who aren't going to do the engineering, it's often my job to look at a problem and say, look, this can be done, but it's going to take 3 times as long and cost 3 times as much as you're actually thinking it will. So with that in mind, do you still want me to try to do that, or would you like to short circuit that? Now, where am I going with this? I forgot.
And I'm just showing how I don't know. I don't know, isn't it? It's not a useful answer.
Actually, Zeno,
often it is a useful answer, though.
No, it's an honest answer, but it's not useful to the company.
Okay, Zeno. Actually, I'm going to stop that right there. Okay. I actually just got hired on for my dream job, and believe it or not,
congratulations.
Thank you. I'll tell you about it after the show.
I'll ask you later.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I really don't want to dox my new job, so I'm not going to give more info about that. But what I am going to say is that the environment is one where they absolutely encourage people to say, I don't know, because that means that you know at least which way to go, which way to work, which way to learn. If you are in a work environment in particular where I don't know is discouraged or somehow would leave you left out, then what you're left with is an environment where people are incentivized to say that they know what's going on even when they don't. And that is what's going to really cause damage in the future. I think that what you're describing is a toxic work environment, that it is incredibly useful and incredibly beneficial for everyone involved, for someone who doesn't know to say, I don't know, especially and as quickly as possible so that you can work as a team to get that done.
Right. Being effective at a job doesn't always mean just blindly saying yes to whatever the boss says. It often involves giving accurate information about how doable it is.
No, not when you're training. I'm talking about 10, 20 years into the company. If you don't know, say you don't know.
I mean, as a company, right? I have a company and I go and screen lots of people. If I ask them, hey, do you know how to perform X? And they say, I don't know. We don't immediately just write them off and say, okay, goodbye, hit the road. But compared to someone that says they do know how to handle X, that's great. It's not looked down upon because you don't know. What I'm just saying, it's not efficient to hire a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing, which is why we put people through college.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind that as the hiring manager, if a lot of people are telling you, I don't know how to do that thing, and frankly, I think that's not a good idea to attempt, sometimes you should listen to them. Not always.
Question for both of you.
I'm not encouraging people to not learn because they don't know something.
Zeno, question. I got a question for both of you, then I'm going to let you go, okay?
Okay.
What does this have to do with the transcendental argument? Where did we get so far off the trail that we're here? Because I have no idea where we are.
You and I both tend to jump on little things and derail the conversation, which is a hazard.
We have lost.
I lost all of my notes.
We have lost the lead, Zeno. We are so far out in the weeds. It is amazing. But you're welcome to call in again. I'm glad that you called in today.
Okay, awesome. I'll talk to you guys again tonight.
No, it's good.
Although, honestly, talking about programming and interviewing strategies is more fun for me. So I'm good with the way that went.
Well, I think that when something wild happens or when you're way off in the weeds, better to hang a lantern on it, bring it up and go, hey, I'm going to endeavor to do better in the future. What is the point of us, trying to be exemplars of how to have these conversations if we're not willing to admit, oh shit, I am way off target? It's important. It's important to be able to do, it's humbling, and we're just two assholes on the internet.
Yes, especially me.
Oh, I think you're awesome, Russell.